I've been very fortunate in my life. My family's been involved in motorsports for over 65 years now. 1973 is when my dad and my uncle first got started in off-road racing. How they got started was through a family friend who was in construction, and he had a couple buggies and invited my dad and my uncle to come out, and my grandfather too, to come out to the desert in Palmdale, Lancaster, and come check these things out and go and take them for a ride, take them for a spin, and just instantly got hooked. Growing up in a racing family, I was very fortunate. I could see different disciplines of motorsports. I can see sports car racing. I can see IndyCar racing, how an IndyCar program was run, how professional these guys were. Seeing my grandfather's team, Penske, Newman Haas, being a part of those organizing bodies with CART, and seeing these drivers and what they needed to do to be successful, from training to nutrition. And I think being involved and being immersed in different forms of motorsports are what helped me be successful in off-road. After bugging my dad nonstop, day in, day out, I'm like, I want to race off-road. He had an old Funko, nothing happening with it. Him and my uncle Albert owned it. At the time growing up, it was my brother, myself, and Jimmy Johnson. We were at all the off-road races together. We would always play together as kids growing up, screwing around, getting in trouble together. So the three of us, along with Gary Johnson, Jimmy's dad, approached my dad and said, okay, you have this car. What if we bring this car to El Cajon to my house? This is Gary talking. The kids can work on it, and then we go do some local Fudpucker races. Every weekend, my brother and I would go down to Jimmy and Gary's house, and we would spend the weekend there working on the car and learning how to work on the car. And got it together, and we did our first race in 1991.
The one good thing about off-road racing, it's a family event. You can go and you spend 4 days, 3-4 days out there. You race one day, but you can pre-run, and the kids can come out with their motorcycles and what have you. So it was really nice to be able to have them to go along with us and watch during the course of the years them getting better and better and better.
The trophy truck that I'm racing right now, the number 32 Dragonfly trophy truck, to me it's amazing. It's a fire breather. The speed at which this two-wheel drive goes and how we have the handling on this trophy truck right now, to me it is the best handling trophy truck I've ever been in. Joe Gibbs Racing built this engine specifically for trophy truck. This wasn't something they took out of the NASCAR platform and said, okay, we're gonna use the NASCAR engine and we're just gonna modify it to make it work for trophy truck. They designed this thing from the ground up. Everything that they would have loved to do in NASCAR but can't, they did for this trophy truck engine. And I tell you what, they hit the nail on the head. I've never gone the speeds in any trophy truck that I do in this truck. I mean, we're almost on the cusp of 160 miles an hour on the dirt. Insane. I don't want to say I raced the Mint 400. I don't want to say I raced the Baja 1000. I want to say I won it, or I'm going to win it, and nothing else matters. Otherwise, I'll just stay home. I got no desire to want to just go compete and just say I was there. So in order to do that, you need to up your game on every single level, from the vehicle itself to the team itself to the nutrition program you have going on to working out and being mentally focused. All the preparation involved in doing that. And that's what it takes to go win these days. But you have to have, it starts with the right equipment. Racing on BFGoodrich for sure gives me an advantage over my competition that's not, especially at the Mint 400, because of how rocky, how technical, just how brutal the terrain is in that Nevada desert. We are racing on some of the worst terrain that any off-road race that we have, whether it's in Baja or whether it's in the States, any race course has. From the rocks to the silt to the dust that just hangs like we had this last year, to some of the biggest bumps you've ever seen in your life, to the high speed bumps, to the flat out lake beds. It has everything a racer could want, but you bring the lap aspect into it. Lap 1 is not the same as lap 2, 3, and 4. By the time you get to lap 3 and 4, there are rocks that they're the size of a 40-inch BFGoodrich tire that have now worked their way into the course that weren't there the lap before. And you don't know until it's blind coming around a corner, all of a sudden, boom, it's sitting there. And you have to make an adjustment in that trophy truck that's quick Otherwise, you're gonna take a driveline out, you're gonna blow a tire yourself, you're gonna clean an arm off. How the hell it got there and who hit it to get it there, I have no idea. But that every corner of that race course changes every single lap. The Mint 400 has always been a box on my racing resume. I've been fortunate. I've won the Baja 1000 3 different times, won Vegas, Torino. One race that's eluded me, and the one race that I grew up before I started racing going to, and just seeing the hoopla and just seeing what a special event this was, has always been the Mint 400. Now, my dad has raced the Mint since the late 70s, early 80s. And so he's had a lot of Mint 400s underneath his belt, and it took him a while to win that race. And he won it back in 1989. He won it teamed up with Bob Gordon.
The Mint was traditionally one of the toughest races in the United States, and me and Bob, we did a lot of pre-running, we did a lot of hard work, and a lot of stuff to prep on the car and stuff like that, and it was phenomenal. I mean, it was we came through, and at the finish line, it was like wow, finally we put a check mark on something that we thought was really outstanding. Today, watching Ryan, I say to myself, my Lord, if I was to try and compete against him, I probably wouldn't even come close. He's that much faster and that much better, and he really has the ability to take the vehicle and do the testing and get that vehicle to compete at the highest level. And with the people he's lined himself up with the Herbstos originally, and now with Kyle Washington, he's going to be the guys that they're looking at now to say, if he's racing against me, we need to be able to make sure that we have no problems, or we're going to finish second.
One of the biggest elements that we deal with in trophy truck and in desert racing period is the four things that roll. That's tires. If you don't have the right tire underneath you, thank God I run a BFGoodrich. Thank God. Because they are, bar none, the best tire in the desert. They have books upon books upon books of notes to develop from the all-terrain tire towards the beginning, all the way up to the KR3 that we're racing on now. This company always strives to find the next best thing.
When we started winning races, I became real good friends with Frank D'Angelo and the guys at Dan Newsom, and we sat down. And for us to get to the next level, we needed more revenue to be able to get the cars prepped properly and all the new innovations and stuff. And BFG stepped up to the plate. They were always there. Anytime BFG, I need to ask them for either a tire or something that I needed to change, they would go to the drawing boards and come up with either the grooving or new material, and the relationship to today is still there. Each year it's something new, and they come up with a newer tire and a better tire. And tires to me are one of the most important things, in regards to being able to finish and win a race.
In today's landscape of trophy truck, you're losing races by one flat tire. So you have to have the best tire underneath you to give yourself the best chance to win that race. And there is no better tire than BFGoodrich.